Well, hello, everybody. It's January 17th, 2025. Just a couple more days before the festivities begin, or are they going to begin before that? Lots of news happening over the last couple of days. Excuse me. So tell me what everybody's up to out there. If you're on TikTok, hi, Melissa. Nice to see you again. If you're on TikTok, hey, Lucky Chucky's here. Hey, Chuck, good to see you. So lots of things happening. Lots of wheels spinning. Lots of plates in the air. Lord Bullion's here. Welcome, Lord. So it looks like the inauguration is going to take place inside of the rotunda. Wow. Is that significant? I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's see. So we've got Scott Amborn's here. Hey, Scott. I know it is crazy, Chuck. Last time it's happened apparently was with Ronald Reagan, and they said that was because of the weather as well. Don't know how true that is, but we'll see. So tell me where everybody is. Oh, Chuck said 85. Great. WMD 2221 said it's for safety. I agree. I think it's best to be safe than sorry. Sibma, hey, how are you? J-Man 44030 said praying for a safe and peaceful transition of power. I'd like to think that, but oh, look, we got Alex coming in here. Hold on. All right. So WMD 2221 from Tennessee. Alex is here. Hi, Alex.
Hello, Sam.
How are you?
Well, I just went full red, man. I'm full red. I am on the other side. I'm gonna get me a sickle and a star tattoo.
Nice.
And I'm full red note, baby.
LFG. We are on top of it. So let's see. We got
favorited. I set up favorited. You have to have 75 followers on favorited to go live. And Sam, I don't know with the looming change of platforms, what we're going to be able to get you set up on, but I will help you get it figured out. I don't know if these other platforms yet are mature enough to integrate with some of the tools that we use, but like I said, I'm full red, baby. Let's go.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think so. Let's say it happens on Sunday. My understanding is that you won't be able to download the app from the stores, but the people that have the app will continue to use it.
I think that they are going to kill the TikTok Binance environment. And
you really think so?
Firewalls and stopping IPs.
Wow,
Yeah,
you could be right. I would be shocked, but we'll see.
I think they will. But you've got here's the problem. There's companies that want to buy TikTok to keep TikTok USA, Binance, whatever, alive, right? But the problem is Binance, the original creators of algorithms, they will not release their proprietary information, which is the algorithm, right?
Right.
So, it went through the Senate, it went to the president's desk, it went through our court systems.
I don't see it happening. I could be completely wrong, but we'll see. And then President Trump said, he wanted an extra day to be able to get in there, even if they do something crazy on Sunday once he gets in.
Coincidental that they're shutting it down the day before?
Yeah, exactly. It's a bunch of garbage. So let's say hello to some people here. We've got Robert, Robert Hoffman 5. Jeez, I don't know why I have such a hard time with that. From Northwest Florida. Mercedes from Oklahoma. We've got, let's see here. We've got Michelle from Minnesota. Hey, Michelle. Kenny Red Note. I don't know what that means, but sounds good. Proud Texas Mimi said, so excited for Monday. I think we
Red
all
Note.
are, Mimi. I think
Red
we all
Note is the Chinese app that everybody's going to. So if you're going to accuse us of being communist and Chinese, we're just going to go use a legitimate Chinese app so that we can all stay connected.
Is that what it's called, Red Note?
Red Note.
I heard something, I think Ronnie was telling me about something called Lemon 8.
Lemon 8, Red Note, and Favorited. Those are the three that everybody's kind of, we'll see where the dust settles. Favorited, if you're like you see all the people babbling and wanting to chat and do boxes like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Favorited actually, their portion of the proceeds that they keep is considerably less than what TikTok's is. So the creators are going to be able to make more if they go to Favorited than they would if they stayed on TikTok. Hey, you just got a big gift. That was nice of you guys.
That was James.
Take care, Sam.
I just brought him on. Hey, James.
Oh, that's how he gets your attention. He does that magical, mystical ball thing.
That's only the way it works sometimes.
I didn't even see you there, James. I'm sorry.
I just think Kansas in the house, and he goes, "Oh, Alex."
Yeah. So we got. How's everything going, James?
It's 30, 40 mile an hour winds. We got back to snow action. Going to be sub-zero, like minus 16, minus 17 come Monday, Tuesday.
Wow.
So I'm not really appreciative of being in Minnesota right now.
I wouldn't think so. So we've got a couple things here. So we've got, okay, WMD 2221 says he agrees with me. Proud Texas Mimi said Kevin O'Leary says he's put $22 billion on the table to buy TikTok. Well,
the former owner of the Dodgers put $20 million on the line. They haven't divulged it, but
20 million or 20 billion?
Billion.
Yeah,
and
billion.
Again,
okay.
If you don't have the algorithm, folks, you don't have TikTok.
Right. I just don't see President Trump letting that happen, especially since he's on the platform now. But who the hell knows? We don't even know if we're going to make it to the inauguration at this point.
Well, so inauguration, the big news on that is this is only the second time in U.S. history that we are scheduled for an indoor event.
Yep.
You're talking about that.
Yep. Ronald Reagan, right?
Right, exactly.
Right.
I hear because of the TikTok ban, Michelle Obama has boycotted the inauguration. So there's that.
Well, I also heard that Clinton, Bush Jr., and Obama will not attend.
No, they're not going to attend the luncheon, not the inauguration.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, that's a shame, isn't it?
I know. So we've got Julie Jenkins, Okie from Muskogee, Oklahoma. Welcome. Waldo San Diego.
Got it right. She says Michael.
I know. I'm just trying to be careful so we don't get the big red flag. You know what I mean? Jolene from Wisconsin.
Hey, Sam, let's go out.
Tashalina Black Moth 398 from Chicago. Welcome. John Gibbons 77 from Kansas. Welcome. Oh, Deb J's here. Hi, Deb. Somebody saying they're not doing Red Note. Are there shareholders? James said the sheriff is here. I didn't catch that till now. That's a good one, James. We got Tropical Leda Magda from North Carolina. Lucky Chucky said, did you read the terms and conditions? I'm assuming he's not talking about Red Note.
Only if you speak Mandarin are you going to read them.
Exactly. I have no freaking idea what it says. WMD 2221 said, can't wait for the executive orders Monday. So that's another thing, you guys. President Trump said 100 executive orders the first day. What do you think?
Rock on, let's go. Let the good times roll, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Brandyman from California. Hey, Brandyman. Hey, Mega Dave's here. Hey, Mega Dave.
The Gulf of America.
The Gulf of America, baby. And who owns the Panama Canal? That's right. What's the 51st state going to be? Uh-huh.
Canada.
But what was that about Greenland? Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah, this is going to be an epic inauguration.
Yeah,
We got to get there first. We got to get there first.
I know. So we've got
That's
KJ
why
Cook.
it's indoors.
What's that?
That's why it's indoors.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand that, but we're not there yet.
I know. Hit says, "Hey Sam, happy Friday. Hope you and your family are safe during these fires." Yeah, we're all good here. Thank you for the good wishes. We've got Randall. Hey, Randall 2112 is here. Hey, Randall, how are you?
Lots of Kansas people popping up here in the
Oh
last
yeah,
hour.
you guys are not playing around over there. You're getting as much TikTok time in before it goes away.
Minnesota's showing up for the thing too, you know.
Oh yeah, we're not playing. You guys aren't playing around either.
Tim Waltz made an epic stand in the state of Minnesota, and he's going down.
Oh yeah, he's a memory, dude.
Like a fly in freezing weather.
Exactly. Puppy Mama's here. Hey, Puppy Mama, nice to see you. Sid Mall says Monday will tell the story. Well, I think we're going to learn a lot on Monday, that's for sure. Christy Westjohn's here from Hayesville, Kansas. Welcome, Christy. Good to see you again. Howie is here. We have Enwood 6 from Kansas as well. Oh my gosh, Melissa's from Missouri too. I didn't realize that. I'm overrun between Kansas and Mississippi.
In the kitchen with Susan PC. Walt who?
In the Walter. Exactly. That's exactly right. Oh my gosh. We've got Doug Long 7 from Maryland. Hey Doug. Hey, everybody type in there. Let me know where you're at. We have Gary Ilker.
Share the live. Come enjoy the last TikTok stand with Sam frickin' Shalhoub, baby.
Yeah, that's right, man. They're gonna have to pull us out. They're gonna have to release my phone from my cold dead hands. So we've got Toodaloo ladies here. Toodalooty, I should say, is here. Welcome, Live Radar from Alabama. We've got KDJ from Ohio, Scott Amborn from Wisconsin.
Speaking of Radar, he's actually a friend of mine. Do you mind if I pull him up?
No, fine.
Okay. All right. Radar, you got to be on your best behavior, brother.
Do I need to do something here?
No, I got it.
Okay.
Puppy Mama, I would like to read that, but I'm not gonna.
What's going on, peoples?
Hey,
Radar.
what's going on, Live Radar?
Damn.
Hey, this whole thing is quite a conundrum for me. Me being a constitutionalist, I find this somewhat perplexing. How we have a full bipartisan 80% vote that says to get rid of the app, and now people are screaming for executive orders to do this. Keep in mind, people, our Constitution does not allow executive orders to overrule law. We have to keep that first. Please elect your constituents that are absolutely going to follow what you believe. Don't do it by executive order. It sets a horrible, horrible precedent to do this, especially even if they just ignore it. This is a horrible precedent. If they're going to ignore this, they can ignore a murderer if they want. And they can just let him out on the streets.
They already
There's a
are.
horrible precedent here.
But isn't
They
that the
already
difference
are.
between maritime law and common law? And didn't that start in 1871? And isn't that how that wove its way into the Constitution?
Well, it is, and it's all a very, very slippery slope.
100%.
You know, we honestly, we have to be careful here. I'm a First Amendment auditor. I firmly believe in the Constitution. When I do my First Amendment audits, I have massive amounts of people, hundreds of thousands of people in my lives, just to listen to my bullshit, basically. No, sorry to say that. I have been banned. I have lost accounts. I have done everything. But the one thing that I constantly preach, first, I don't think big government should get involved in this at all. Okay? I don't think they should give us I don't think they should tell us that we can't go on an app because China collects our data. If I want to go on an app, I'm taking that choice as a citizen of the state of Alabama, who is that is a part of a state of a sovereign nation of the United States. Notice that I said that very, very carefully. I believe that we are held responsible for our own actions. That is the biggest thing. But please, hey, Cherry. Alex, Cherry said hi. But I do believe, absolutely, I mean, I'm seeing people all over this app. Trump's going to save us. Daddy's going to save us. We're going to kick the can down the road. We have got to stop that. That is a dangerous precedent.
The only thing I would
need Congress to change the law or amend the current law. That's what we need.
the only thing I would
Here's the thing. Go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
no, Alex, you go ahead.
So before we get to Trump saving it or executive orders or any of that, and I started this live, I don't know if you were in yet. It was correct. We have 3 legislative branches. 90% of Americans can't tell you what those are. It was ran through our Senate and put up the flagpole and went straight to the president's desk, where he very quickly signed it, and now it's gone through the judicial system and check. They pushed it right on through. And if we go back to the beginning of that, it is 100% trampling on our right to free speech. This is a canary in the coal mine, okay? Whether you like him, hate him, don't, whatever the case may be, if you go back a few years and you look at the canary in the coal mine and what they did to Alex Jones, in one 4-hour time period, that man's entire identity on the internet was completely wiped. And that set a precedent. And TikTok, Binance is only owned 20% by the motherland, Sickle and Star, and the servers are in Austin. The employees are in Austin, and you have 170 million Americans on this app, and that's what scares the shit out of them, Radar.
Now,
And
Alex, you know I've done my homework on this. Where are the backup servers?
Regardless of where the backup servers are, completely regardless.
But see, you guys are trying to play the game by the rules that were initially created. That's not where we're at today. Today, we have elected officials that were not elected; they were selected. We
Correct.
have to straighten out the voting before we can get to any kind of constitutional government. And I'm with you, Radar. I don't disagree with anything you've said, but we're playing a rigged game right now, and that rigged
There's
game
Singapore,
has to. What's that?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you. They are in Singapore. Cheryl said they're in Singapore.
Okay.
Yes, they are in Singapore.
Right. So,
Right.
but again, that's irrelevant in my opinion. Right now, the fundamental issue is the voting. If we don't have free and fair elections, that means that whoever's in office isn't who we chose to begin with. So I don't give a shit if they're, excuse my language, I don't care if they're writing executive orders or they're wiping their rear end with their left hand. The fact is, if they're not supposed to be there, they shouldn't be there.
I
So-
completely agree with that, and I'm going to abstain from the whole election fraud thing. Lex knows I'm very careful about truth, about facts, and it's got to hit me in the head in order for me.
So let me hit you in the head real quick, okay? There was a cyber symposium that was put on in one of the Dakota states, okay? While I was watching this transpire, what they did is a person in Colorado received a call that someone was coming in to update the voting system. So in her wisdom, she said, I'm going to back that up. So she took a backup, a snapshot, virtual machine snapshot in time. Here's a picture of that server. They came in, they ran their updates. She took another snapshot, and then they put the 2 snapshots side by side. I'm watching this live, okay? It's streaming. The person who's doing the side-by-side comparison was a Linux Unix person, not a Windows person, knew nothing about the Windows OS or any of those things. There's a guy in Kansas, his name is Jim, and Jim has a radio show. Jim was there on the floor with the Kansas senator. I called Jim on the phone, and I was like, hey, dude, I need to talk to your person that's running this because I'll tell him exactly where to go to get the logs. Those machines were not connected to the internet, right, Radar? Is that the story we're all told? They're not connected to the internet.
That's correct.
They're not connected to the internet. I took him to the IIS logs on that Windows server and showed him where that server, the moment you turned it on, calls home. Do you know where the IP address block was for where it called home?
Probably China.
No, sir.
UK.
No, sir.
Well, it's either the Vatican or Germany.
Or DC.
So There's this little island called Taiwan. It's not controlled by either side, right? I mean, and that's just a hop away from where. So it doesn't connect to the internet. And so here's some other things that happened when that update ran. The update ran. All of the log files that were on the original snapshot were gone on the updated snapshot. Bro, there is no doubt in my mind from a technical perspective, having hands-on seen and helped people investigate, no doubt in my mind that we do not have a secure election. And until we have a piece of paper and a pen that we fill in the hole, and that is how it's tallied, and that's how it's captured, and it does not touch a computer's hand in one day. If countries around the world can do one day single voting with a sheet of paper, so can we.
I completely
That's
agree with
the
that.
only way.
I agree. I agree, but I also think if you look at it from a very superficial standpoint, you're going to tell me that the who got 81 million votes? Not a chance. They got more votes than Barack Obama, who is black? Not a chance. Just from a superficial standpoint. When you shut down the voting at a certain point, and I think we got to be careful here because we haven't gotten a warning yet, but I got a feeling.
100%.
Sam, I wanted to tell you that Ronnie is in the chat.
Oh, okay.
And Radar, I 100% respect your position on, hey, if I don't have hard line, I'm not going to take that road. I get that. We need the hard line, right? So that we can go as fast as we want and not be in danger. I get that. But there are a lot of things about that situation that don't meet the bullshit meter.
Oh, I have my personal beliefs on it, but I just don't speak about it, out loud. The one thing, Alex, that really chapped my ass, and when they went in front of the Supreme Court, and their two attorneys threw all their eggs in the free speech basket, knowing how they suppressed me on their own damn app, how they suspended me, banned me, did everything they did everything to silence me on everything that I did. And then they want to stand in front of the Supreme Court and say that they have the right and they're protected under free speech. This isn't even a free speech case, but yet they have the nerve to do that. And I was like, come on, you really going to say free speech when you absolutely tried to destroy me and my content?
And they want to say that they're taking it away because of security. Okay, I got news for you, folks. There's not any apps on your phone. Your phone itself, along with many other electronics that have chips from where? Chips from where? Taiwan, China.
Are you going to tell me that Google or YouTube or any of them aren't doing the exact same thing?
Everybody is taking your data.
Our government sells our information to companies that sell it to China. It's public information. Go look at the damn registries. It's right there. I only say it because I know it's a fact, because I've seen it. I've read it myself. I was a contractor. I know how these things work. I know how to look up myself. And all of that other stuff is absolutely public. And it is sold to companies. Our Social Security system sells our information. Call me a conspiracy theorist. Call me whatever you want, but it's a fact. Look it up.
300 million records at the Social Security office have been what? Hacked and released.
Well, who's one of the biggest purveyors of data mining? ESPN. They go deep and they go wide.
Alex,
Now I know.
I got a question.
What's up, Ronnie?
Okay, now while we're on subject, if you had to pick between the two, Android or Apple, which one would you say is the least government accessible one? Less government spyware.
The iPhone.
Okay, so the iPhone would have less government tap in?
Correct, because an Android is an open source platform, but neither one of them are safe. And the reason I say this is from personal experience. So I work for a publicly traded company. One of the executives died. Well, I just want to get the photos off of the phone for the grieving wife. You can't get into a phone. There are ways to get into the phone. Don't get me wrong. This has been 10 years ago. Okay, there's ways now, but back then there was no getting into the phone, and Apple would not assist you in any size, sort, shape, or fashion unless you had a subpoena or a warrant or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But an Android, I could get into an Android in 10 minutes.
There was a capital murder case that the FBI tried to strong arm Apple into letting them into the phone, and they said nope. And they even got a warrant, and Apple said, this warrant doesn't pertain to us because we don't own the phone. We're not touching it. It's that simple. And by the way, the FBI did not have IT that could actually hack the phone. They had to get some outside source to do it.
Yes, sir.
So by today's standards for privacy, you would recommend an iPhone over an Android?
No, I wouldn't. There are now phones coming out from producers that legitimately want to keep your information protected, and there are several. You can Google it. What's the most secure phone out there, or DuckDuckGo it, or it, whatever.
Crypto
But
Ben has a company that produces those.
Yeah, they're- and they are comparable in price. You're going to spend $1,000 for the phone, and they claim, I have not used one. Each one of them claims that all of the other standard apps, both iOS and Play Store for the Androids, will work on their platform. But I personally have not used one, have not tested one. I got an iPhone because you know what? I don't give a shit if you have my information. I don't care.
Right.
Right? And I think that's the big thing for the other 170 million people that are using this app right now. There are single mothers. There are disabled people. There are so many people on this app that are generating a living. This is how they've been living for 4 years, by generating content and affiliate sales and all of those things. But again, this goes back to the canary in the coal mine. This has nothing to do with the app. It has nothing to do with where the data is stored. This is the canary in the coal mine where the government says, you will or you will not do what I say. And they're going to shove it down our throats. And that's the big issue.
Well, and I think that's part of, Radar, when you said we don't want daddy to come save us. No, but I think we have to have some sort of inside road to get some of this done. Oh, wait a minute. Okay.
I muted Ronnie. We were getting an echo.
Okay, I thought it was me. Anyway, so I'm not a proponent of big government. I'm a proponent of the Constitution. But ever since 1871, in my opinion, that Constitution has been subverted. And you have bad players that have been in place for almost 200 years. And I think we are at a place in time, a point in time, where we're going to have some sort of a intervention, for lack of a better term. And I think that's part of what President Trump represents. Not that big government's going to save us, but the outcast Mustang over here who's infiltrated that system that's been in existence for decades. We have to have somebody on the inside because our voting doesn't count at this point. Until that gets changed, I don't see where we go from there.
Well,
Does that make sense?
When Alex was talking about, basically a piece of paper and a pencil, my issue is not only with the voting machines, but the people that are counting the votes. They're untrustworthy.
I agree.
That is my biggest problem. Now, that is fact. And I will say that openly and I will say that loudly. That is fact. They are absolutely untrustworthy. Why are they untrustworthy? Because they're human beings. That's why they're untrustworthy. When you put human beings in charge of something as important as voting, yes, you are going to have people that are going to be biased, either left or either right. That's what burns my ass about this whole thing.
Well, and I think that's partly why General Flynn is always saying local connection or local action equals national impact. I agree with you. I think you're right on the money there. But again, I don't care how much local action you have. If you put a vote in a machine and that vote machine via the scorecard and hammer software programs can flip those votes 7 to 10%, we're screwed. We have got to have reform at a more fundamental level.
From a technology standpoint, okay, there are billions of transactions that happen every single day on a Visa card network that are secure, that are tracked, that are able to be tracked down from one end to the other, right? So you can't tell me with today's technology that we don't have an ability to create a system that's auditable, trackable, non-F-withable, right? So I think we get into emerging technologies, which would be blockchain,
Right.
crypto. We have ways to make it secure using technology, which cuts the people piece out. You're not going to fudge, period, the blockchain.
Well, isn't
Right.
it the Postal Service that owns the voting blockchain technology?
We're moving in that direction, but it's not for me, it hasn't happened fast enough, right? So there are ways, right? But there's going to have to be a landfall of events for us as the last shining light on the hill, right? The last constitutional republic, the last ones that are allowed to defend our First Amendment with the Second, to stand up and say, you know what, we have the right, and we're going to use that right. We're getting close to that time.
I agree. We're coming to an apex. We're coming to a
Do we
precipice.
really have that privilege today of protecting our First Amendment with the Second Amendment?
Do you believe in the Constitution?
Yeah, I fully believe it.
There's 490 million, okay, in this country. 490 pew-pews, okay? That's what they're scared of. Because our founding fathers knew that if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. If you look at what's happened to the people that went to the last inauguration certification day, trying to be careful because of algorithms, and have been put away without a speedy trial, without a trial at all, for years. That's the same thing that the British did. They threw you in a jail, they shut you up, and they forgot about you.
Well, and that's that one of those points, Alex, is we know the Patriot Act and then the Patriot Act on steroids, but what a lot of people don't realize is the additions that the National Defense Authorization Act made. That made the Patriot Act look weak.
We do a National Defense Authorization Act every single year. And yes, since 9/11 and the original Patriot Act, which in my opinion was the greatest blow to liberty that has ever been executed in the middle of the night against the standing people that didn't even know it was happening, all in the name of some boogeyman in a cave somewhere that supposedly took down whatever. The National Defense Act, they do stack piece by piece by piece by piece over the last 25 years, 24 years, more and more and more and more of our rights, liberties in the Constitution is eroded.
I agree.
It's a sad time.
I will say this about the Second Amendment. Alex said that they're afraid of the 490 million pew-pews that we have. Case in point, the Bundy Ranch, Arizona.
Amen.
They backed them down, and look what happened.
Land grab.
Sure did.
Land grab.
Sure did.
The federal government is not supposed to own any land in this country constitutionally.
20 miles outside of D.C., I think, is their limit.
Correct.
Yeah, and why is that? Because DC is not part of, it's not subject to our
It's not a
laws.
state. That's right.
It's a corporation. But that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, I know. Well, but I think that's pertinent. We're talking about the Corporate Act of 1871. We're talking about London. We're talking about the Vatican. We're talking about a central banking system that has had control over all of this for, well, since 1913 anyway, if you want to go back to 1871. But at the very least, 1913.
Well, and then you stack 70 when we came off the gold standard and went to the oil dollar with a failing fiat currency. It's a perfect storm. Guys, I've said this multiple times, but we are living through one of the greatest times in human history right now. We are living through one of the greatest transfers of wealth that has ever happened in history, ever. We are living through an awakening of the human consciousness on the spiritual side of things, energy, deity, God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it. There are things happening right now that the history books, should we survive it, will be writing about happened in the last 25, the last, so 50 years back and 50 years forward, it's going to be insane.
I agree with that. Let me do a quick commercial here. Everybody on TikTok, if you would, double tap that screen, share this live out to all your people. If you're on YouTube, X, or Rumble, please give us the thumbs up or the positive affirmation button. We do have a goal we're trying to reach on TikTok. If you can contribute to it, great. Otherwise, glad to have you here. Go ahead, you guys.
Alex, I couldn't agree more. You are right. And Sam says all the time, we are in very, very, very important times. And we are going to see the world and life as we know it change. And
I believe that.
it's really amazing. And I believe that whatever happened probably in the last 225 years of American history will not even compare to what's about to happen within the next 1 to 3 years. I mean, look, the Panama Canal, Canada, Greenland, 100 executive orders, which I don't know what they are. Sam probably knows what they are.
Wow.
It's amazing. And then to top it all off, guys like me and Alex, who are white dudes for Harris, we can still get
Knock that shit off.
Exactly. Hey, I gotta read this one. Noon said the USA map is red, and I agree. And he said Gumfuckistan is disappearing. I just thought that was great. I had to hear that one. I had to share that one. Sorry, guys.
Whoever said at the bottom, and I saw it was deleted, to keep spreading the misinformation, Lex probably has, he's probably the only one here that has an idea of how bad I want to go off on that guy.
Which
But
guy?
I'm not going to rant. And
That's why I deleted it.
Yeah, we got good mods here, man.
Yeah, James ain't playing around, man. I'm telling you.
We don't
If
get
you've got to step on the outside of the corral, I'm there to take you out.
Thank
I
you.
do want to say one thing to the person, though. Lex knows I can't let it go. I mean, Cindy, read a fucking book. That's all I got.
You don't know
All this
history.
information.
If you don't know history, guess what? You're doomed to repeat it.
And I'll tell you, Radar, I don't think that's all you have to say. I just have a feeling that you're just restraining yourself, and I appreciate it.
If you want to see one of my rants, I'll go on one and exit real quick.
So fun fact about executive orders. When Biden came in, 77 executive orders. The next year was 29, 24, 19, and 11. So to say I'm gonna issue 100, it's not that far off. In the first go around for 45, his first step in was 55, right?
Obama had more than that, didn't he?
Barack Obama's were 40. What's that?
Okay, I was thinking Obama hit more than that, but I didn't realize he was that low.
That was his first year. So it was in his full run. Let's see, we've got 40, 35, 34, 39, 20, 31, 29, 42, and 7. So, I mean, that's a couple hundred, right?
Yeah.
Rough math.
Thank you,
He
Chris.
wrote more executive orders than any president in history.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
part of the problem too, you guys, is the obfuscation of the past. They're obfuscating everything that is true. They're pointing us in a direction that is not correct. And then they cover it up, and they've always had the mainstream media to do that. That's no longer the case. I truly believe the mainstream media has been put under submission. Now, whether that rolls out to the public optically, I don't know. But you can't see, if you can't see how toxic they were to President Trump, and now they're more midline because he's coming into office, both BS. There's something has happened behind the scenes, in my opinion, that has forced him into that position.
And I'm going to correct
It's called
you.
ratings.
I'm gonna
What's that?
correct you quick.
It's called ratings.
I think that's part of it, but it doesn't matter if you lose 75% of your audience, which they have.
That's true.
If you go back in history,
Why did they lose?
if you go back in history and look at Roosevelt, his first year in office, he wrote 256 executive orders. His second year in office, he wrote 249, followed by 287, 309, 381, 290, 122, 129. So
That was Mr. Socialist Roosevelt, I'm assuming.
100%,
Yeah.
Franklin D. Roosevelt. And Truman followed up with numbers that weren't too far off that. So Roosevelt wins that cup. But within the last 50 years, yes, Barack Obama takes precedent. But it's really about the substance of those executive orders. And if you sit down and understand what each one of those executive orders does, I'm not against executive orders. And the people on the other side are going to say, "Oh, well, you're not against them when they're for you." That's not true. And it's the same thing is true for First Amendment speech. Truth. I may not like what you have to say, but I will damn sure defend your right to say it.
Exactly.
Because that's what the First Amendment is about.
I agree.
You can go and you can talk about how a walrus is the worst thing that ever lived on the face of the earth, and that animal is atrocious and blah, blah, blah. And I can come along and say that's the funniest, cuddliest, greatest animal ever. We may disagree, but you have the right to call whatever you want to call. I don't
agree.
care.
I agree. Let me get caught up on some of these things here, guys. We got, so we've got, Paul 1986 said, good job, amazing chat. Thanks, Paul. War Robin said, amen. We've got Christy sharing the live. We've got so many people sharing the live. War Robin said they probably need more than 100 executive
Laners.
orders. I would
Happy
agree.
birthday, Laners.
What's
Sorry.
that?
Nothing. I just had to say something. You're good. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Laners in the chat.
I just want to give people some acknowledgement here. Sean Maynard said New World Order is real. Well, I think it was, but I think it's over now. I don't think that. I think their plans have been nixed. We've got Melissa replying. We've got Aquarius Moon Trust saying we're still in bankruptcy since 1933. Well, I don't know about the bankruptcy, but we're certainly under different levels of emergency action since way back in the Clinton era. So again,
we've been converted to a corporation since then, if you want to get real technical about it.
I was just asked a question. Saxman is wanting to know what my definition of socialism is. It's pretty simple. I highly recommend that you read the legal definition of socialism and then the legal definition of communism, and then you can get back with me. Until then, I don't answer that because they own your buildings. They tell you that you're going to work here, you're going to do this, so forth and so on. Socialism is something different, and it's just way too much to go into right now.
right. Suffice it to say that the framers and the founding fathers had reason for why they built the Constitution the way they did.
100%.
Yeah,
The men were freaking geniuses.
right.
They thought so far down the road, and the way that they wrote everything, there will never be another living document that has the amount of genius behind it that the Constitution had. The
Right.
forces understand the threats that could come in and could shut off the light of the last shining light on the hill. Like it's amazing, and you know that's the biggest problem with this country is they stopped teaching that. They stopped doing the Pledge of Allegiance in class. They stopped prayer. They stopped all of these things. You don't even learn cursive anymore. They're not teaching cursive. I'll say this: schools are starting to bring it back. But if you can't read cursive, can you read the Constitution?
Well, and you know, Nick G just made a point. He said corporate communism. Well, I think it has a lot to do with the globalists, their intent to conquer the world, the New World Order, and I believe all of that has been derailed at this point. It hasn't been rolled out optically, but just like when our government, at the behest of the certain banking system, went in and took out Gaddafi in Libya. And they took out Muammar
Gaddafi.
That was Gaddafi, was Libya, but also Mubarak in Egypt before that. Because why? Because they were going to align with China and Russia in terms of the monetary system, and they can't have that.
They were some of the last countries. So if you look at the last countries on this planet that were still on a gold-backed currency, and then follow the timeline as to which ones were occupied?
Yep.
Off the gold currency, a leader installed, and now what?
But it wasn't a war. It was a kinetic military action. It's a bunch of... I mean, come on. How many ways can...
or however you pronounce it, asked a question. and it was while Lex was talking about the Constitution. He asked, why hasn't any other country copied it? Serious question. Well, there's a reason for that. Why would any country today want to give up control to its people?
True that. Gentlemen, I'm going to say good evening. I just got to my destination. I'm sorry I can't stay longer.
Okay, Ronnie, thanks for coming in, brother.
No problem. Have a good night, guys.
All right, man. So, and also in answer to that question, there are countries around the world that have experienced the overthrow and the complete decimation of their wealth, and
The aftermath.
have had a wake up call and are now installing leaders that will put the people first, that will look at Bitcoin as a reserve form of wealth storage. I mean, there's a renaissance happening worldwide, but it's taken these events that we've been watching of masses amounts of people being brought in and imposing their way on the population, for other countries to start saying, okay, hey, wait a minute. Like, I'm all for taking care of people, but this has gone too far, right?
Yeah, it's the aftermath later. That's right. Hey, guys, I got to run. I got stuff to do. Sam, it was great meeting you.
Raider, pleasure to meet you. Please come join us again sometime.
Yes, sir.
Love you, bro.
Back at you, man. Be good.
See.
If I can't be good, I'll be good at it.
There you go. Love you later.
Sam, one of the viewers brings up a point here. Says, why would we give a president full immunity? Bad deal. I'd like both of you guys to chime in on this. I have my say about it, but I would like both of you guys to say, why would a president have full immunity? And keep in mind the one term, president.
A president. So if you understand the ruling, the president doesn't have full immunity, right? So the reason that you would bestow some level of immunity on a world leader is in the event that they had to make decisions that were in the best interest of the population surviving. You wouldn't want to have handcuffs on him to be able to protect what we put him in place to protect, which is us as a country.
National
right?
security.
Correct. So there is a world stage that one would still be judged by and potentially held accountable outside of United States courts or whatever the case.
You
may
mean
be.
like Bush that can't go to other countries otherwise because he's a war criminal?
Correct.
Yeah.
And the reality is, I think that the blinders are coming off of the world with regards to acts that have been perpetrated by many people before us. I think disclosure is what is needed more than anything in this world, is full transparency, full disclosure. What happened to JFK? What happened behind the scenes to take us off the gold standard? What happened in 9/11? What happened in Oklahoma City? What the fabricated events that pulled us into World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War. Like, there's a machine working in the background. There were Ford motors in German tanks.
Yes.
They are profiting off of both sides of what's going on. We are so far off of the
And if we're going to get down to the brass tacks about that, I'm trying to phrase this properly. If anybody's ever read Hitler's book Mein Kampf, which I have, over 700 pages, what was the first two things he wanted to do? There was two groups that were controlling Germany that he wanted to end. It was the media and the bankers. That's how he started off.
No income tax.
Exactly.
No property tax.
So I think what's happening, a lot of this is at the behest of the corporations, i.e. the globalists, who are now in a position where they're running for cover because they've lost that control.
Well, I'm very happy to hear both weigh in on this. There's my father, I think, summed it up quite perfectly. You can please some of the people some of the time, but not all the people all the time. But if you
you have the best interest for the country as a whole, and you do your due diligence, and you keep your head to the ground, and you do everything that you think the people would want and moreover need.
Right.
I think that's what President Trump's all about. I think he has it. I think he has the needs of the people in his mind.
I would agree with that. And I think, somebody just asked a question, am I on Rumble? Yes. This is being streamed live on TikTok, Rumble, YouTube, and X. My username on TikTok, the only legitimate account is Sam_Shalhoub. On YouTube, it's just Sam Shalhoub. On Rumble, it's just Sam Shalhoub. On X, it's Shalhoub Sam. So yes, please follow me and all these guys over on the other platforms as well. But James, to your point, I think you're right. I think the intentions, they had Obama set up for 8, and then they wanted Hillary for the next 8 to wipe it out. And that whole thing got upside down back in 2016. So what are we seeing happen now? We see President Trump on a capitulation tour in 2017, the UK, Japan, China, North Korea, Saudi Arabia. And ever since that point, I think that was the real storm. I think what we're seeing now is the optical rollout of a lot of what happened back then, in my opinion.
And I don't disagree with that, but how many dogs does that scare, Sam?
What do you mean? Oh, I know. No, I'm not saying that they don't have some Jews.
And for 200 people watching, if you take the time, go read the Communist Manifesto that Marx put out. Okay, I'm going to give you
the 10 top points in that, Alex, are here.
I'm going to give the 10 points of 60 plus points that he makes. Right. Point 1: the abolition of property and land and application of all rents of land to public purpose,
which
right?
is exactly what's happening here.
Exactly what's happening here. 2, a heavy progressive and graduated income tax. Think about those of you that are old enough to understand income tax and how much it has gone up since the last 50, 60 years. Increasingly, little bitty pieces at a time. Because if you do it all at once, you spark.
You can't drop the frog into the hot water. You got to bring it up slowly.
You got to boil the pot slowly. Okay. Abolition of all rights of inheritance. So
inheritance tax.
Hello, inheritance tax. Okay, I'm just going through what this manifesto that was written 75, 80 years ago, whatever it was. Confiscation of the property of all immigrants and rebels. So, anyway, I'll let that one sink and simmer for a minute. Centralization of credit in the hands of the state.
Can you say central bank?
By means of a national bank with state capital and an executive monopoly. Hello, Federal Reserve Bank created when?
1913.
So, do your history, check it out. I'm reading directly from the manifesto. So
I agree with you.
Manifesto, just saying.
It's many times that you've said that you're going through it, and I want to continue, but I've had the same argument with people for years. The top 10, 9 of those are in play right now in America.
There's not a single one of them that are not in play. So number 5 was centralization of credit. Number 6, centralization of the means of communication and transportation. We're just going to take TikTok away.
Yep.
I mean,
or we're going to censor you to what we want you to say.
Transport in the hands of the state.
Yep.
So just saying, extension of factories and instruments of production owned by the state and bringing into cultivation of wastelands and the improvement of the soil generally in accordance with the common plan. So, Bureau of Land Management.
All the way down to the local level. Well, what about the Coastal Commission? Yep. Keep going.
In the hands of the government. So, Extension of factories was 7. 8, equal liability of all labor. Establishment of industrial armies, especially for agriculture.
Workers' compensation insurance?
Even more than just worker compensation. So equitable liability to all of all to labor. So we've heard them say, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy about it. You'll work for a living wage and have nothing and be happy about it. And you'll rely on the government programs to provide for you. If you look at the curve of the number of Americans that have had to rely on government assistance over the course of the last 40 years, 50 years, watch that curve and what it does. Combination of agriculture with manufacturing industries, gradual abolition of the distinction between town and country by more equitable distribution of the population over the country.
Eminent domain?
We'll just take your land.
Yeah.
Free education for all children in public schools.
Department of Education.
Abolition of children's factory labor in the present form. And I mean, okay, I can agree with that one. There shouldn't be any kids working. That's the only one out of all of these. But Department of Education, right? So when you take over the education system, and it's really funny. So my daughter, 8 years old, funny story. She says, "Hey, Mom, you know that lady that refused to give up her seat on the bus?" My wife's like, "Rosa Parks?" And she's like, "Yeah, that was Martin Luther King's wife, right?" We were like, well, "No, sweetheart, it wasn't. It wasn't." She goes, "But they were both fighting for the same thing, right?" Yes, they wanted everybody to be treated equally. And that took us into a conversation about, I think from a very early age that yes, the topic of slavery should absolutely be discussed. But they set it in these children's mind that one population is a lesser population because it was enslaved, and they only teach about one form of slavery, right?
What about the slavery we're in right now?
And the history of slavery, there's not a color of skin that at one point in time has not been indentured servants, right, and taken over through war, conquered and enslaved. And so that educational, while it is a good thing to teach the children, they're setting it up at a very early age that it's right versus left, it's black versus white. They're setting it up through the education system instead of teaching about maybe the Irish slaves as well as the African slaves, teaching the whole gambit, not just pieces of it that fit the forming of a child's mind.
The ideological structure is what they're doing. Who else did that we know of around the 1930s and 40s? Exactly. He did the same thing. He went after the kids. And that's what they're doing here. And now the Department of Education is going away. We're going to be in a brave new world. Let me get some of this housekeeping taken care of. So Mrs. Mary Jane said they tax us and they put tax on what we buy, tax on what we own, tax on inherited, already taxed money. You're right. Coyote 6183 said, Jekyll Island is interesting. Oh, yes, it is. Scott Ambord said, Alex hit it on the head, which he did. Absolutely, I agree.
Well, now Lisa's calling me a white supremacist. So,
who is?
I'm not a white supremacist. I'm
no,
sorry.
It has nothing to do with race. And that's something that Jordan Peterson talked about that I really commend him on. I am all for equality of opportunity, but not equality of outcome. It has to be a meritocracy. You have to earn it. You have to be qualified for it. You have to do the things that job or position or whatever it is calls for at a better level than maybe somebody else. Maybe it hurts your feelings, but I don't care. That's the way it's got to be a meritocracy.
Lisa Light, listen, you're wrong. You're wrong. Only people that are racist say that blacks were the only ones, or not the only ones. That you're wrong. You're wrong and you're wrong. So we'll let it stay at that. You're welcome to stay and engage in the conversation.
Sure.
We're not going to name call and we're not going to do that. We're just not, but you're wrong.
Right. And I have no problem with people disagreeing with us on here, as long as you do it in a polite and, unoffensive way, then I'm all for a good conversation.
There's a sheriff walking around.
Exactly. Exactly. So
Yeah, but you know,
Texas Realtor 2 said all retail is slave labor. I agree. I think our system in America is designed to make slaves. We have to work 50, 60 hours a week. We have to have two people in the workforce instead of one of them being at home raising the kids. Whether that's the man or the woman, I don't care. If the man wants to stay at home and raise the kids, great. But again, but you have to have one. You have to keep that nuclear family together.
you know what's interesting about a job application, Sam? The first thing they talk about is how many days you earn on vacation. That's basically saying how many days you're going to be dragging the ball and chain.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. So Melissa said, yep, Sam, that's true. They want to keep us down. Well, it's been designed that way, Melissa, for decades. And that's what's so exciting about what's happening now, because those fundamental pillars that Alex mentioned in the Communist Manifesto are being broken down. They're being broken down in a way that I don't see them coming back again. Now, could something cataclysmic happen and derail all this? Sure, it could. I don't think it's going to, but I'm not sure that there isn't going to be some smaller issues that take place, as Alex many times says about the dog. Alex, what do you always say?
Well,
Not the corn cob.
I am not scared of a mean dog. I've trained dogs, so this is just an analogy so you guys understand. I'm not scared of a mean dog, because a mean dog, you can look in his eyes and you'll know exactly where he's headed and where he's going to bite. But a scared dog, I don't want anything to do with a scared dog. They're unpredictable. You don't know what they're capable of. You don't know where they're going to bite, when they're going to bite, how they're going to bite, or if they're going to come up behind you after they just walk past you. You just don't know. Period.
And one of the ways that they are implementing this is through cyber attacks. And I want to get this out here. So if you own a business, whether it's 2 employees or 10,000, it is incumbent on you to train your employees to recognize the cyber issues that your employees are presented with. Alex heads up a company called Risk Tool. They will come into your company, they'll train your employees, they will mitigate the issues that stem from cyber attacks or cyber problems. So Alex, why don't you talk a little bit about that and tell people, if you do own a business, listen to what Alex has to say.
I appreciate it, Sam. This isn't the reason we got on here, folks, but I will say the number one threat.
Well, I think it goes hand in hand with what we're talking about.
I understand. The number one threat to all businesses, whether it's a government entity or a private business or whatever the case may be, is human error, right? 90% of the breaches that happen are a direct result of human error. Whether that's somebody clicking on a link they shouldn't have, opening an email they shouldn't have, plugging in a flash drive they shouldn't have, downloading a file they shouldn't have. So what we do at Risk Tool Technologies is we provide you with policies and procedures for your staff to follow. We give you training for your staff that in most cases you should be doing annually. And we also give you the ability to do an assessment to really look into your company and understand where your threat threshold is. And by doing so, when you identify where a threat potentially is, you have the ability to remediate it because you've identified it. And that's what we do at Risk Tool Technology.
And what's the website, Alex?
It's www.risktooltech.com.
Great. Yeah, and I just think it's important to get this out there, you guys. Sure, it supports us, it supports Alex, and ultimately, you're supporting yourself by making sure that your backside is covered. So,
and I guarantee the government's not coming in to take me over or shut me down.
Yeah, exactly. So, we've got Texas Realtor 2 has made a lot of good points on here. 100% low wage, point system, no medical as wages too low, shoppers treat employees like shit. Well, again, that, in my opinion, is part of this slave situation that we're in, and it comes back to the globalists and the central banks. That's what's happening here. So everybody on TikTok, if you would double tap that screen, share this live out to everybody you can. If you're on Rumble, X, or YouTube, please give us the thumbs up or the positive affirmation button. We do have a message over on YouTube from Paul Rick. I still think they're up to something bad. Well, I think you could be right. And Alex and I, butt heads about this quite often, but we both agree that there is certainly a possibility, if not a probability, of some bad actors still being out there. So it's always best to keep your head on a swivel.
Well, so, and this is what Sam and I have butted heads about is, there is a belief that there are the good guys that have our backs and are looking out for us. And then I see interviews with people like Sarah Adams, who is former Intel, who through open source has been able to confirm that there are 1,500 people that are coming into this country, are already in this country, okay? And they have a plan in 2025 to avenge Osama bin Laden. Like, how does somebody that's outside of our government and outside of our military as a private contractor have the ability to connect those dots and have that intel, but our own government doesn't? And so for me, my head's on a swivel.
Me too.
My head's on a swivel. And she makes a really good point. People here have not had to experience what they're capable of, right? Which is they send somebody into a crowd of people, something bad happens, and as soon as the paramedics and the people that would, like you or I, being good-hearted people, we see a problem, we rush in to help, right? Triage to maybe try and stop bleeding or help people that are hurt. And then the second guy comes in and something bad happens on top of that. And then another person comes in. She's like, it's bad. It's really bad. So while there are good guys in control, and I believe that, I think that the catastrophe of what has happened is so monumental that the little boy could not plug all the holes in the dike. I just don't think he's been able to.
Eugene Bigo said, enemies foreign and domestic. Very well said. Very well said. Well, you guys, we've been going a little over an hour on a Friday. What do you say? Should we wrap it up?
I think I'm going to go fire up the turntables and have one last night of badass music on TikTok.
Tell everybody where to find you on that, Alex.
Just on my profile. On if you follow me, The Real Alex, I love to DJ and I play some dance music and everybody has a good time. And if you like the music, stick around. If you don't, that's fine too. But I think kind of apropos, the last Friday night could be potentially on this platform. The last Friday night, maybe we just have a tasty adult beverage and break all the rules.
There you go.
For everything that I've heard today, we're not going to go anywhere right away. They're just not going to let a lot of new downloaders. Nobody's going to be able to download. We're going to be able to continue for a little while. So, Alex saying that this could be Sam's last hurrah, I think he might be in the pasture for now.
Well, we'll see. I don't think it's going to happen, but who knows? I don't know what to expect. But James, let's give us your final thoughts on tonight.
It's the best thing that I like about our live, between all the visitors that came onto live, and Ronnie, and what was your other?
He goes by Live Radar.
Live Radar. What I like about that is you bring a bunch of different light to the public. What I kind of have surprised feelings about is the way the public reacts to it, and the collective criticism kind of sometimes presses a limit, and that's where the sheriff comes out in me. Yeah. But
thank goodness we've got you.
You guys have a definite way of bringing it out of people. And, we're not going to be able to please all the people all the time. But for the people that follow Sam Shahub and us with what we do, we love y'all.
Amen.
And we love Sam Shahub and everything that goes on. And Alex, you're a huge contributor to this. Tonight I got to sit silent for the majority of the time and do nothing but play sheriff, and that's fine with me.
And we got to see your handsome face finally.
Well, I've been kind of wondering about that.
I inspired him. I went on camera tonight and it inspired him.
Yeah, exactly. Alex, final thoughts?
I've been in the IT industry for a very long time, and we all need to pay attention to our digital spaces. Take some precautions to keep yourself safe. I've also done a lot of motivational speaking, and I'll end with this. There is energy all around us all the time, and the most powerful energy in the world is that of love. So it doesn't matter whether you hate them, whether you don't like them, if you disagree with them, if you're living with love in your heart for everybody, the fact is, it will raise the vibration of everyone around you. It will affect your life. It will affect your family. It will affect your money. It will affect your business. So lead with a little love. Keep your head on a swivel and your powder dry.
I agree with you. You guys, I couldn't have said it any better. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful weekend. As Alex said, keep your head on a swivel. And like James said, we can please some of the people some of the time, but not all the people all the time. And then with that being said, love you guys. Have a wonderful weekend, and maybe we'll catch you again this weekend. See you guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks for all you do,
Amen.
Sam. We appreciate you.